The Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium presents BarbaraMossberg and Maria Garcia Teutsch, recorded live via Zoom on January 9th, 2022.
Welcome on this beautiful New Year day. In Monterey County, it's sunny and bright. This is the January 2022 Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium reading, our first reading of the new year. It's our 21st Zoom-based reading as we continue to work through this pandemic of yet another variant stomping around in the dark around us. Hoping that this is the last one, hoping that there aren't so many more that the WHO runs out of Greek letters for naming these variants. It's a different world that we're in, certainly very different from when we did our first video recording back to almost 2 years ago. We've been through a roller coaster, a lot of stress and strain, a lot of ups and downs. It's a very different world, and stress and disquiet are common for many folks. I have some writer friends who've told me they've shut down their writing. They cannot, it doesn't come to them. So it's not an easy time. So today, I would like to invite you to step back and experience this world as it is, shaped through the lens of some wonderful poetry, and enjoy the community of the outstanding poets that are part of the Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium. This consortium, as many of you know, has roots 30 or more years ago here in our community. It's an affiliation of poets. We don't have any bylaws or rules or dues or anything like that. We're just a group of poets who like to get together, read to each other, and hear each other's work. Our roots go back to the National Writers Union, when it had a chapter here in the Monterey Bay area, and even before that, when poets would gather and read on a periodic basis. The driving force behind our consortium is John Lowy, who's with us today. He's the dean of the consortium, and he is the gentleman who arranges these wonderful, wonderful poets that we have who come and share their work with us. We're on Facebook at Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium, and we have our own YouTube channel, which you can get to through Googling. And today we have two wonderful poets, outstanding poets, gifted poets, who are coming to us from nowhere near the Monterey Peninsula. BarbaraMossberg, who is going to be reading for us from Eugene, Oregon, and Maria Teutsch, who's reading to us from Berlin, Germany, through the miracle of Zoom. So each of them will present for 20 to 25 minutes, and that won't be long enough, but it'll be good, and it'll be videoed, as I say, so if you want to go back for a second helping, go to our YouTube channel. Sit back then, enjoy this afternoon, have a cup of coffee if you've got one, or a glass of wine if you've got that, a snack, or a cat on your lap if you have that, and just enjoy some wonderful poetry this afternoon. Our first poet is BarbaraMossberg, has a global career that spans 4 decades. She's a prize-winning poet, author, teacher, and educational minister, promoting the transformational power of poetry in people's lives. She's president emerita of Goddard College. She's the founding dean of Cal State Monterey Bay. She's a professor of practice at Clark Honors College of the University of Oregon. She's been internationally recognized with scholarly and literary distinctions, including 2 Fulbright Distinguished Lectureship Awards, appointment as U.S. Scholar in Residence for USIA, and that's a neat thing. She's carried the word and represented writers, poets, artists from America to over 20 countries throughout the world. And she's also received an award from the National Endowment for Humanities. Barbara is an arts activist. She works across media as an actor, dramatist, dramaturg, restaurant reviewer, writer in residence, workshop leader, keynote speaker, cultural diplomat, and radio host. And you can actually tune into her Poetry Slowdown on her website, which is BarbaraMossberg.com. Her book, Emily Dickinson, When a Writer is a Daughter, was named Choice Outstanding Academic Book of the Year. Her book, Sometimes the Woman in the Mirror Is Not You, and other hopeful news postings, was chosen for the Dublin Writers Abroad Award. Her play about her poetry career, Fat Lady Flying, was chosen for the Jambalaya Playwright Festival for the Cherry Center here in Carmel. And her latest book is based on her experience as a poet laureate in California here. It's titled Poet in Residence of Pacific Grove, Here for the Present, A Grammar of Happiness in the Present Imperfect, live from the Poet's Perch, which is a wonderful way to describe what she does and did at Pacific Grove. So without further ado, Barbara, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to hearing you this afternoon, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Ink is dripping from the corners of my lips. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. That's Mark Strand, a poet, a laureate. Thank you, Bob, the Monterey Bay Consortium, John, Jennifer, Maria. It's a thrill, an honor to be with you and each of you. Your faces and your names here on the screen, the eco garden of my heart, all here at once simultaneously. This is quantum. This is quantum happiness. Thank you for being here and in my life, and the people I don't know. It's just honored that we're all together. Raymond Carver said something that I think is really matters to me. He said, "And did you get what you wanted from this life? Even so, I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth." And I love that. And I think in the poems I'm going to read you today, I hope that it expresses my sense of being beloved by this earth. And I have one Valentine that sort of is a love poem. Are you loved? If you're needed, that's a clue. Think of how you're needed by Earth, for example. Earth needs you. Earth goes all out for you. It dishes up sunrise, it plates sunset. For example, every day, chocolates and roses, the original delivery service. Be mine, I'm yours. Outlandish and lavish displays for your notice. Some peacock tail spread. Yes, yes, it wants to mate with you, that's for sure. Maybe not now, but sometimes some celestial dazzling union or reunion. It needs you to be impressed and amazed. It needs your poems of notice. It is your beholding eyes that spring the rivers, your dances to its strings and wind instruments that pulse the tides, your obsession with lemon pie that grows the grass, your love of light on seas that makes it tilt and spin and spin and spin and spin. That is how much your sweetheart, your wondering eyes, your grateful ears are needed. And that's just Earth, one example how you're loved. And the first formal poem I'm going to read, I was invited to dinner by my Fulbright hosts in Finland at their country place in the Lake Country. And as a polite guest after dinner, what do? Maybe you offer to wash the dishes. It's called washing the lake. I'll wash the dishes, I say. Nothing more than politeness. It's my hands. I can't stand to get them wet. But my hosts don't understand. Then it turns out there is no dishwasher. There is a lake. I am handed a bucket and pointed in the direction of the dock. Now, washing the dishes, it is wonderful before I realize it, before I even think it is a poem, not the poem that comes to me, but the poem I need to write, the poem I wait for. Do not even seek. Ready is when you reach for the camera, when you see a certain scene to capture something you already know or more. Our guide, keeping us alive in terrain we thought we knew. It shows us how to know what we know. Standing in twilight, a lake of light, the twofold wrinkled light of day and night, sky shiny, flabby folds, my hands and wrists and rust-colored lake water and suds, sauna warmed, feeling glasses, slippery as eels, skid from my tremulous touch, tracing their rims and sides as smooth as ice, as ripe melon when you were scooping out the seeds. I look at the lake. I think it is the lake whose edges I am tracing, its contours, insides, bottoms, and sides, suds and ripples in the sunlight. They are one, and my hands feel reeds and birches, clouds and frogs. A poem is not to record, but to explore. It is the map we end up with, yes, but the poem is also the reason for the journey, why we ever took off from what we know. We think we do not know enough. We become restless. We give up a known world. The poem is our interpreter, telling us what we have seen. The surface I see is not flat. Neither is it broken with reeds. It resembles more something insubstantial, like clouds appear. No, sky, something that isn't even there, not even to see. It's the light now. It makes the water seem opaque, shimmer, but not ripple or break, like the definition of matter. Nothing solid about it. Nothing could float on it. It isn't even there. I'm steering so hard, but the problem is that there's nothing to see but reflection, as lake appears nothing but sky, trying to find words for what I see. But the words don't come. This is like wet, I wonder. Poems need analogies, but what I see does not need anything. Lily pads dot the surface. We say that, really. They define the surface. The clouds, so white and expressive, define the finished blue. Well, what is the verb for what clouds do? This landscape defeats me when I try to understand it in words. A lake at twilight, but not just a lake, washing dishes as if I'm washing the lake itself. Never mind the poem. I am enjoying washing the dishes right here and now. Sometimes just the facts are enough, more than enough. I am washing the dishes and I think this is significant. This matters. Washing the dishes outside here is a restoring of order, sensuous exploring of surface, finding shimmer of glitter and shine and suds. My hands emerge with fork or cup. How many women have stood here so by some lake or river or sea, scrubbing the bowl that held porridge? This is Egypt. This is Maine. This is history. This is truth and beauty. I dip my fingers in cold lake water. I am happy. I take my time. I am sorry when the dishes are dripping and clean, spread out on the table, bowls, plates, and cups, glasses and spoons. Of all the things they hold, this is what I want most. My hands in them, on them, in water. You. I'm going to take you into the wilds of the interior life, the wilds of shopping and cooking and dressing. And this first poem is called I Forgive Gravity. It's not that I am so old to look at. It's true, I have Nellie's song in me. I'm as normal as blueberry pie. That's on my mind this morning from South Pacific, but can you see that? I don't know what it is about me exactly that spells feeble, but in the aisle of the supermarket, when I drop a box of blueberries, of course, blueberries, as one does, as they do, that take on a life of their own, taken from the bush, escape from the box, and free now at last to wander at was in them all along to do. And they don't just wander like the bears that love them and amble amiably among the shrubs. They are incredibly fast. They move at warp speed. They do. Look at them now, scattered in front of and now under the freezer doors and the aisle with chips and the aisle with vinegar. They are a sprawl worthy of Los Angeles, of Rio, Mexico City, Shanghai, and Dhaka. In the words of Robert Kirkman, moving with inexorable speed outwards across the linoleum that invisibly slopes, clearly demonstrating curved space as scientists state it. It is the Big Bang before our eyes, theory in motion, cosmic expansion, commotion in a teacup, or as in this case, a market. Gravity at work, blueberries spreading out at the speed of light. And it's true, it's true. All right, I've got my hands full because I did not take a cart, fool, thinking I was only coming to get, what was it? Wait, now I'm holding 2 baskets of berries, a mango, dozen brown eggs, lemon yogurt, ice cream, clearly the tipping point, as I adjust my items and the blueberries escape their corrugated cardboard nests, experimenting with flying as they saw the birds and butterflies alight on them, and landing as they saw the herons, and the swoop move perfected by the osprey on the pond next to their home. The trick is to land without being mushed, so that they can roll and roll and roll. A quart of blueberries does not sound like so much in the greater scheme of things, not a galaxy with 1 billion or so stars, but right now it is a lot. The berries' arcs expand outward, and I'm already stooped over to pick them up before they're squashed and transform shoppers into the realm of classic comedy sketch, into men with long coat tuxedos and top hats, strolling with umbrellas in oblivious snobbery until they hit a banana peel and are upended to the delight of passersby. Why is comedy heartless? The supermarket is not an audition stage for aspiring slapstick, and more to the point, tragedy, or at least misfortune of the unsuspecting. Who would expect that a quick trip to the store for milk and coffee filters would result in ER with a strained back and calling one's partner with the news that breakfast will be delayed? So I'm leaning over to pick up a blueberry, balancing my things, and a man, I tell you, he was way older than I, in a suit for some reason, leans over and starts picking them up and handing them to me. And then a woman in overalls and pigtails and tattoos holding them out to me. And then a young man in running shorts, and then another lady in a hat, stout and stiff, bends over, and I can't keep track. People are chasing down blueberries and retrieving them for me as I stand with my green cardboard collection box, a rickety center of this physics of common love. Blueberries and people alike going the distance. I'm a son of sorts, orbited by young and old. Oh, thank you. Or a hive with the whole community alive, coming in with honeyed news of the world. And I'm saying, oh, thank you, thank you. And here's the thing, none of us in this endeavor, and it is a joint endeavor, a community in action, knows who each other is, whom we vote for, whom we root for, and who knows, maybe if we knew, we would hate each other and wish each other off the planet. But scratch us, we the people, let a blueberry fall, and we're all about each other when it comes right down to it, helping one disorganized lady. This is our simple bedrock just here. If you want to know how our world is doing at heart, let drop some blueberries and see the laws of the universe confronted by the human spirit. So thank you, in my helpless entanglements and engagements with our worlds, my domestic interiors. I really find solace cooking and making lemon pie. And if I saw you, I would make a lemon pie for you in person. This is called Why When Something Doesn't Work Do We Call It a Lemon? And the epigraph, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat. Trini Lopez, and it's by Will Holt, who's and Trini Lopez sing it. At bitter life, you will say, I will make a lemon meringue pie. This is a blessing up your sleeve. I'm not saying that to say, I will make a lemon meringue pie is an easy thing. To say even to yourself, I will make a lemon meringue pie is like saying, I will make a Jaguar from scratch, and I don't mean the car. It is like saying, I will compose an ode to joy. I will make a harp. I will rewire the house. I will apply the second law of thermodynamics to global warming. These are things that can be done with patience, love, chemist's mind, geologist, vision, engineer's resourcefulness, astrophysicist tools. What I'm saying is you can do this. It's all about the spoon. Spoon against and with arc of Pan, velocity of spheres, orb against orb, gravity, momentum, heat, transformation, egg. You begin with the warm egg, cracking it open, and you end with the revelation of egg, its insides. You are recreating embryo, life itself, what clucks and hurries and bustles and makes out of feathers and wrinkles a perfect package of life and life again. You are making something about resurrection, something ancient. And have you ever noticed when a lemon tree lets fall a lemon, it is like a chicken hatching an egg, that perfect oval lying there, a gift of oneself out of bark and soil and air, this perfect package of sweetness and pulp, the taste of yellow sun. Eggs, the temperature of lemons on the tree, the same shapes. Think how the egg is lemon colored on the inside. How egg and lemon are the same, meant to be together. And what does this say about chickens? You don't know. You can buy crumbs, but you know they will not have the energy your smashing gives the crust, and it will lie passive, a beat up, humbled, numb mass. Try not to be afraid of the cornstarch, or at least know that everyone is terrified of cornstarch for how it will become kernels of gum or silly putty in your dish, and there is nothing you can do except use it as grouting. But part of this dish is your belief that you can make lemon meringue pie, unlike most people on earth, including those who make it for stores using gelatin. It is no coincidence that lemon meringue pie came into being with the fields of chemistry, if not also geology and astronomy. Right now, you're in the astronomical stage. Galaxies are being born before your eyes. In just seconds, you yourself will be a force in which dust becomes glory, something miraculous that will become something complicated and whole and fresh, and then like a star, like all life, dissolve once again into the universe. You are stirring and stirring this flour, sugar, salt, cornstarch, dust, trying to convince it they are all one and one for all, together at last, one coherent identity. And think of it, earth, soil, and grasses and seas, grass, root, mineral, with the endosperm of the corn kernel, the amazing maze. You make zest a verb. 2 lemons right into the frying pan, the flavor right there, the vigor of the whole thing. Juice the lemons by hand. Take pleasure in what cup you use to measure out the water, your favorite coffee mug perhaps. Take pleasure in it all, except after cracking the eggs. Separating yolk and white, very difficult, at least for me. Any yolk in the whites, they can't be whipped into meringue no matter what you do. And you have to start completely over, asking whoever is home, including your guests, to go to the store and buy more eggs. Meanwhile, use the wrecked egg mixture for your banana bread you already made when the day had legs, with some whipping cream, vanilla, grated orange peel, bourbon, and golden raisins for a bread pudding. You can also use it on your hair as a conditioner with coffee. You are now ready for a glass of Moscato over ice. Hold it in your left hand, your spoon in your right. You stir and turn up the heat slowly, putting your Moscato down, slowly, slowly stirring. Nothing is happening. A white, milky soup, but you keep circling, circling. You see some darker spots like fish in a current. You swirl. These are lemon pits, and you keep them in. How people know this pie is real. Tell people, whoever gets the most pits is lucky, says ancient myth. Tell them a cook can make things up. In many cultures, whoever gets the most pits wins a prize in ceremonies celebrating the river flooding at the full moon, when everyone wears white and drapes the cows with orange silks. That the meringue symbolizes white of the moon, and the white milky soup the colors of stars at birth. Soon you feel a little resistance as you slowly move your spoon around and around the pan, and you do. The mixture is congealing, and it is chemistry. You see that now. You have transformed solids into liquids, and now some miraculous texture, and swiftly, calmly, reach the bowl of egg yolks, which you have beaten. Oh, well, never mind. Pour them over the mixture and keep slowly stirring the sudden yellow texture, the filling of lemon meringue pie. Turn off the stove, off, and scrape the mixture into the crust. Now, eat some. Some Moscato will ease your tongue burn. And it was tense there, but you did it, you did it. Who knew that you could do it? I knew it. You had it in you all along. You beat the whites. Yes, yolk got in. Your guests went to the store and bought more eggs, so you started over, drinking Moscato. It's baking. The pie is like the view flying to Dublin, over Greenland, clouds or ice fields or glacier mountains, and flying. You think of lemon meringue pie, how your tree is doing, and if it misses you and has laid on the ground a lemon offering and does not understand, or worse, if it worries when you do not pick it up. You imagine this lemon alone on the green grass under the tree, its gift like an egg on the nest. You open the oven door. This is what you see from the sky, just like that. There, perfect. And you take it out and you can't believe that it looks just like lemon meringue pie. You serve it warm, hand out forks and say, dig in. You get the seed, and you know you were right, although you made it up. It is lucky. It's slippery, bitter tang. This is always the case with making something sweet of bitterness. There is never any left. I'm now going to read you a poem about my dress, and it has to do with shopping. I have to look at my own table of contents to find this. Let me see here. Hang on. After organizing all of this. Okay, 103. Krister's laughing. Okay. Ode to my BCBG holy inappropriate dress. First, the strophic dress, turn, then the anti-strophe counter turn, then you tell me. It was on sale, shopping with my teenage daughter, Mom. It's 2 layers, almost see-through. Beneath, is flesh-colored gauze sewn into the bodice and then flows free from the neck and arm seams. That's it. That's what's going on with this dress. Free flow. The top is bright, soft red with white flowers. It is so transparent, so skimpy, so flimsy, like a cloud manifests, weightless. This dress flutters when I turn as if there is a breeze. It has its own weather system, eddies of wind, currents, squalls as I move or even breathe. Even the sleeves, little flaps bunched at the shoulder, then draping down fluted, the whole thing loose, wavy, rippling, the V-neck gathered, edged with ripples. Ladies, help me out here. Then the empire waist, ruffles, that's it, ruffles all along my bodice, and then a ribbon sloping down into a bow, material so light, so translucent, so fluttery, it rides my curves lightly, and the dress descends loosely to a 10-inch ruffle bordered by more tiny ruffles. So you've got the dress, and now you're thinking of me, what? Am I 4 or 9 or Audrey Hepburn at 16 or Maria from The Sound of Music? I'm dating myself here. I've turned 60, so they say. My arms, you know orangutans, the scope and heft of their feathered arms, enormous, hang prodigiously. Now think of flesh. Soft, white, floppy arms so heavy. With soft flesh they dangle when I walk. My breasts are hanging too, filling nicely a 34G, and they sway. You've seen me and dismissed me as a comic turn in 1,000 films, the stout giggling ant in the background shaking to the music. My belly swags and sways. My jowls, you see gravity at work, erosion, fault lines exposed, aging's geology. So now you have me turning, now counter-turning, now the epode. Why? Why do I wear this dress? Well, isn't it obvious? I wore it in Rome, and the children rolled their eyes at one another and gave advice on how to wear the bow. My husband shook his head without shaking it. I peed in the plaza. They fled. Okay, it happens. But the stains came out nicely. And I wear it today with pearls to visit my mother in her outpost in the assisted living place, where we have hired 24/7 care since her 2 falls and perhaps 1 stroke 3 weeks ago. She has not spoken since. Last night I lay my hand on her trembling hand, together like that. They looked so similar. Hers a little more wrinkly, a few more brown spots, red from Coumadin bruising. My own hand in 28 years. 28 years, which once seemed enormous. My mother of such size and heft to me, now a flutter in time, a ruffle, ripples on the surface, like stone dropped in pond, her ripples becoming my wrinkles as pond absorbs our energy. 88 does not seem so far, and 28 years a heartbeat this morning at her bed with the rails we installed last week so she doesn't fall out and hit her head. Hospice, which she does not know about, or she does, and none of us knows either how something like this is read. Is it clear to you that this is my perkiest dress? So light it flutters when I walk. You would swear I was in the Carpinteria afternoon breeze. If I had any more ruffles, I would fly. I am a flag of some weightless nation, like a cloud manifests. My arms are bare. I flutter and flap and sag. It is so light. It billows and sways and caresses each curve. I have plans for tonight, freedom and hope and time to finesse. I kiss her goodbye. She speaks. You look pretty. That's why. I wear this dress to face to face, heaviness, all gravity's laws, weighted with sorrow and loss and fear in hospice. I bear it, I wear it, this buoyant excess, this innocence, good style, good class. Tell me it's an inappropriate dress. My final poem is about another poem about a dress, an inappropriate dress, in which I consider myself an old woman in Paris where no one is old, aging's an art, buildings are more and more beautiful, and even you belong to these ancient stones you step as you clatter, pulling a rickety cart deep enough for a baguette, of course, new butter, parsley and carrots for quiche, because you love the orange of them, the color of poppies, and their green stem, the color of the sen. You walk along and you're in Jeffrey's green and white striped zipper dress. Sorry, Jeffrey. So happy and beautiful. That's what Jeffrey didn't get when he objected on Project Runway to women of a certain age wearing his designer clothes, specifically that dress, which the mother of a model fell in love with, as did we all. And we were horrified when he told her on air live she couldn't wear it. It wasn't for her. What he didn't get, perhaps because he was young as well as bad, is that the beauty of a dress is the joy of a woman in it, because she loves striped awnings, because she loves green and white cafe chairs, because she loves the fabric feel of air so soft, because she loves its sheen. She loves how it shines, how it billows in the breeze. She loves how she can zip it or not. In such cases, a sweater covers you just fine. Yes, you're in this dress. It's glorious. It's a glorious morning as you walk along, a happy old woman, excited for what you're going to go home and cook with wine, translucent onions, sweet carrots, eat that moist and crunchy bread with cold butter on the tawny terrace. You love to walk along being this old woman, and you feel you are her already by how people treat you, a deference you don't deserve. And perhaps it's your fault, walking stooped. You're becoming bent, listing sideways, some river willow whose turning leaves catch the light, white, white, but truly it's wonderful walking along in this forbidden dress of a girl, all yours, unfurled, blossom and flag, a green and white striped swirl, bearing a baguette and some parsley, green as the sun. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. That was just wonderful. You had some wonderful lines about going into the wilds of the interior life, and in there finding solace in cooking and lemon pies and dresses and all that go with that. I'll never look at a lemon meringue pie again. Same way, I'm gonna tell you. And I loved your line, let a blueberry fall and we're all about each other. It's so simple and yet so profound. And thank you for that. And I imagine the scene of all these people. You don't know how they vote. You don't know what they think, and all of that coming to your aid to help you with your overloaded arms recover those blueberries. And you also said to us, the poem is also the reason for the journey. I think that's true. At times, the poem really gets one through the journey. And the journey is in and of itself a poem. And I loved your line, making something sweet of bitterness. There's never enough, and never anything left, you said. There's wonderful, wonderful profundity coming out of really simple and ordinary things. So thank you very much. Thank you for telling us that the earth needs us as much as we need the earth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, now we'll go from Eugene, Oregon to Berlin, Germany in a fraction of a second. And our next poet is Maria Garcia Teutsch, who helped us inaugurate the Zoom reading series back in September of 2020. Maria, it's hard to believe it was that long ago, but you did. Maria is an award-winning poet, editor, educator, and publisher. And thanks to her, poetry has been spread and disseminated in our community and around the world. She's published over 25 books and journals of poetry as editor-in-chief of the Homestead Review, which is published by Hartnell College in Salinas, and also Ping Pong, Journal of Art and Literature, which is published by the Henry Miller Big Sur Library, in Big Sur. Maria's latest collection, her newest one, The Swallows of America, was published by Dancing Girl Press in the fall of last year. So that was after you were with us last time. And the question would be, Maria, are we going to hear something or some things from your new book today? And I hope so. If not, so be it. Maria's book, The Revolution Will Have Its Sky, won the Minerva Rising Chapbook Competition judged by Heather McHugh. Maria is a member of the faculty at Hartnell College, where she teaches poetry and creative writing. She's the founder and editor-in-chief of Ping Pong Free Press and publisher and editor-in-chief of Poet Republic Ltd. Limited. But she's not limited, nor is her poetry. And so, Maria, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, Barbara. That was a wonderful reading. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I will take you up on the lemon pie. Should we meet face to face?
And Moscato. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, yes, definitely. So, Happy New Year to everyone. And thank you so much for being here. It's a great joy to be able to see your beautiful faces. So thank you for that. So tonight we're in the grips of the cold weather here in Berlin. It's very cold. And so I want to start off by reading a poem I wrote this week. It's a New Year's poem, and it's called, I haven't really got a title for it yet, New Year's Poem 2022. We splash in the slush from yesterday's snow. The morning's rain melts the sidewalk into a sodden Slurpee. We move with the cloud's gait in silver light and the sun's winking eye. I am bundled in the wool sweater you gave me with the Thunderbird on the back, and you in that puffer the color of eggplant, purple as the purple velvet gathering overhead, closing the eye of the sun as the rain begins its aria to a new year. Berlin's always one to hold its applause till the last act, and the city's a quiet audience today, just you and I upon the stage, and the smoke from our breathing. We crush gravel underfoot in our best rain-shined boots. Everywhere, a hush in the gloam, just you and I making our way back home. So, it's winter, and I know California, it's not as wintry as other winter places, but here it's pretty wintry. And so I'm kind of looking forward to digging in and writing poetry. It's fortunate that I can sit in a room by myself and be entertained in that way. And so I thought it might be fun, since my next collection that I'm working on is a collection of psychogeographic maps, to do a little travel with you guys around the world. And so, of course, they always say, the best place you can travel to is home. So I'll begin closer to my roots in California. And this psychogeographic map is my visit to the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco. It's always in the eyes, plea or pleasure, her breasts a temptation to a tryst, hands two swans creasing the night, mouth a train wreck waiting to happen, as though words must twist sestinas into villanelles. There's defiance in her shrug. This shoulder pillows a child's head. That shoulder fields a lover's sigh. Someone's chins left a purple rose blooming on her collarbone. She's a dancer without a dress. She's a waitress serving dirty martinis. She's a princess lost in metal. Eyes widened in joy, widened in terror. She could be a tree, but for those eyes. Her halo is really a rhinestone fan. She is screaming, no, she is laughing. The thickness of paint diffuses her furor, binds her into fields of turquoise, hot pink, her release a seduction. The ring on her finger has no hand. She dances where strings of mirrors hang from fishing line like walls, a mosaic, breast, ass, and a powder puff for a pussy. She is the eclair who fills the bellies of hunger artists everywhere. And now I thought it might be fun, since I have my friend here, Jonathan from Paris. I have several of my poems and one collection translated into the French. And I don't really speak French. And so I am going to do a choral reading with my friend Jonathan, and I will read the English and he will read the French. And this is called Sex with Coltrane.
Sexe avec Coltrane.
Are the children opening mouths like hungry saxophones, clamoring for bread from my bread music?
Est-ce que les enfants ouvrent la bouche comme des saxophones affamés, réclamant du pain, de la musique à pain?
This exhale of ours bellows in and out and does not look like a wind instrument.
Cette expiration de nos brailles aller-retour et ne ressemble pas à un instrument à vent.
Must be a fool's hat collecting coins, never earned by my frail mouth, not like Coltrane.
Doit être une sébile qui collectionne les pièces, jamais gagnée par ma bouche fragile, pas comme Coltrane.
We never slept in the same bed, Coltrane and I. In the same bed, I'd fumble.
Nous n'avons jamais dormi dans le même lit, Coltrane et moi. Dans le même lit, je me serais échappé.
Yet you wind inside of me and I become your instrument. Now the breasts on my lips.
Pourtant, vous vous retrouvez à l'intérieur de moi et je deviens votre instrument. Maintenant, les seins sur mes lèvres.
Soft, like the rolls I'd bake when I finally clamored myself to you.
Doux comme les rouleaux que je cuirais quand je me suis finalement réclamé de vous.
Earning that key no door will unlock, I wake to find you seamed against me, Coltrane.
Gagnez cette clé qu'aucune porte ne déverrouillera pas. Je me réveille pour vous trouver, serti contre moi, Coltrane.
Thank you. Much better having him read it, trust me. And so the next poem I'd like to read will take us to Penang, Malaysia, where I lived with my husband and son for a couple of years. And so my husband had to travel a lot during this time. And we always had this joke, like, you know, you leave for a week, it's okay, you know, in 10 days, I start to get a little, 2 weeks, it's too long. And so this is my poem that's a psychogeographic map after my husband's been gone for 2 weeks. And this is in Penang, Malaysia. Your absence tastes like a meteor shower over the squashed moon of my head, distorted by atmosphere as it rises on the purple sea. On the water, an ampersand carved by blue boats, I remember. The tide erases the concept of a tide. And I find you in this erasure, sometimes a tin fish in a locket. Around my neck, a moat, a pod of tinges swims, and you, sometimes a sea eagle floating from out of nowhere land. On days when you do not turn up, the sea becomes the sea. And last time we were together, and I was looking myself, Bob, to see, because it's been 2 years, but it doesn't seem that long ago. And I wanted to, see, because I just had this book, The Swallows of America, come out in November of 2021, but I actually read a poem from that book that I had just finished working on at the last reading. So I did also read quite a few poems about my mother, who died a couple of years ago at the last reading. And my father, unfortunately, as these things happen, about 2 years after my mother, he also died. And it takes a long time, grief, you have to wrestle with it. And of course it never goes away. But it took, as a writer, it took a while before I could write about it. But the exact moment that my father died, I knew. And we were in Bamberg, Germany. We were going to see Parsifal at the Bayreuth, at Wagner's Opera House, this insane torture you go through if you've ever been through a Wagnerian opera. They're like hours long and hot, and yeah, you're on a bench. And so I was very much looking forward to this. And we had gone to an abbey the day before, this beautiful church. When I walked inside the church, it was like a thunderbolt. And anyways, this poem kind of tells you exactly what happened. So I'll, without further ado, I'll read it to you. Psychogeographic map of the exact moment I knew my father was dead. Summer, Bamberg, Germany. The moment you died, I was in an 8th century cathedral. 4 choir members came in and started singing. Soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I thought I heard the famed golden wheel, a great star with 350 bells, 14 rays spinning around an axis made of gilded flowers. Though I knew you would die soon, and I'd be in a country with a 9-hour difference, still, I thought there'd be more time. But the hummingbird of time hovers for only a moment. Under the architrave of thousands of years of prayers, under arches and urns darkened by censers of incense, I knelt on a padded pew above a crypt amongst the sandstone saints and stuccoed apostles of someone else's religion, and I prayed. Is that you? I asked when the singing stopped. But there's no reply. All the bells have fallen silent. And since I know that poem gets me a little choked up, I have a treat. I wrote a tone poem for bass. And again, I can't do that. So I have my medievalist son here from Ireland, and he's going to read it for us. So this is my son, River.
Hello, everyone. Hello, you. 3 doors open. Choose and you will see. Underfoot the apocalypse, the elders of prophecy. Zodiac signs are our prior religions to breathe. 12 months to the eclipse. 3 doors to open. Enter and you will see. Jesus sits like Buddha under the Bodhi tree. Queen Esther has no lips chipped by the holy wind of the elders of prophecy. Human wit bows before divinity. All our halos are dimmed by time's eclipse. Choose and you will see. Sacrifice ordained by heavenly decree. Mary holds her baby to her breast, chipped by the holy wind of the elders' prophecy. Like Isis and Demeter, a maternal deity, sculpted by men who wrought religion with their fists. 3 doors to open, enter, and you will see.
Thank you.
Such a great deep voice.
And so one of the things that I do here for fun is I have like a loop, and the loop that I take is I ride my bike from where I live to the Brandenburg Gate, which is like the most famous kind of landmark in Berlin. And it's a trip, you know, because, you know, there's like a monument to the Russian dead, and there's this beautiful tear garden that was a king's garden, and now it's a public space, and there's all this beautiful stuff there, and it's all kind of miraculous to me. And so I deeply appreciate it. So I have 2 psychogeographic maps of the same bike ride. One is from the spring and one is from the fall. And I'll begin with the bike ride it's called Psychogeographic Map of My Bike Ride Through the Tiergarten, Spring, Berlin, Germany. I zipped past a blue and white boat, banked on a river reflecting a sculpted ship wrought in stone and covered in rusty moss. Purple rhododendron riot onto the path, 2 fat geese and a man in a black cap watching. More rhododendrons insist I stop, which I do, not normally being one to stop midway through. Crepe myrtles heavy with the weight of blossoms surround the Venus pond leading to the Thinking Monument with the likenesses of Beethoven, Haydn, and Mozart. A gardener in a straw hat tends to a small plot of pink irises, whipping their heads against all the wild grasses and shrubs. The sun comes out. Then on toward the Brandenburg Gate. No one under the gate as I stare up at 4 horses, 1 chariot rider with an eagle overhead, wings outstretched, like all the dreams bombed and dreamt again. Psychogeographic map of my bike ride through the Tiergarten, fall, Berlin, Germany. I did not let the rain stop me from going, or the 1,000 leaves smacking my jacket as I rode across the Charlottenburg Bridge onto von Bismarckstrasse, then veering right onto a boulevard named for an uprising. There's a theater I pass where I listened to Petrovsky one night. Another night, I watched a fool pulled onto the stage by a bevy of swans. As I turn into the park, all sound dampens. My tires and humus and acorns glide into the quietude. The noise of the city to my left, a pond floating the confetti of leaves to my right. In this time of isolation, I give thanks to my legs pumping. In this time of isolation, I stop at the Brandenburg Gate, take a drink from my water bottle, and wonder if the 2 policemen standing to my left will ticket me for not wearing a mask in this brief time in which I pause from my ride to drink. I ride away, back down the boulevard where beech trees line the road like soldiers in their yellow, gold, and red uniforms. I pass a Soviet tank on a pedestal at a memorial for the Russian dead. Golden Elsa atop the victory column is illuminated by 1 shaft of light. She's dazzling, this golden angel built to commemorate the victors of a war. The gray skies rumble their mountains of clouds even as the rain stops. I keep riding and riding and riding until I find I am lost. Having ridden past my house, past my neighborhood, I look around and the city looks back. Cars hum, horns blare. I wonder how I got here. How could I just ride without thinking. Then I turn my bike around and ride back until I pass a lake I know, with its 2 willows and its 1 swan. When I arrive home, I listen to the rain from my balcony, but the rain doesn't tell me anything except this: they are gone for good, and you are alone. Existential crisis poem. So I have 2 more poems to read, and I can't leave my mother out completely. This poem was actually published for a Mother's Day issue this year, and it's called Kite Experiment in D minor. How did my body become electric? When did I become a house key tangled in the apple tree of some English gentleman's manor? Why the gravitational pull away from the kite of expectation? I am older now. I have watched my mother die. She who ruled the disco in a Kiana dress, theatrical and conductive, beautiful, they all said. I finally forgave her the small cruelties of my youth when I walked through the museum of her childhood. Hiding under the front porch, knees in packed mud, while overhead the thunder cloud she called father Zeused his rods. I learned to roar from her. Now my ears hear even the lowest fidelity. I don't mind the scratch and hum on each drum. The beat is the song I croon, grounded and alone. Nobody's lightning rod, nobody's drone. She was a powerful woman. And I'd like to end my last psychogeographic map where I started. And when I first moved 20 some odd years ago to the Monterey Bay area, I went to the Carmelite Monastery in Carmel, the Sisters by the Sea, and I would write there. And one day I got to thinking about longing, because I think I was longing at this point in my life. And I was thinking about, what if one of the nuns, because there was a gardener there, fell in love with, this garden, mused about, anyways, the poem is about that. And it's a psychogeographic map of the Carmelite Monastery. Carmel, California. Horarium of the nuns, 5:30, rise. Creak, the bones unfold to dark as feet slide into cotton slippers. Movement of bodies hum like moss eating white wool. 6 o'clock, the Angelus lauds. Blessed art thou, lady of shadows, long suffering, perfect pain, your womb an echo canyon of the lost. 6:20, prayer, an hour. Forgive the lust that eats away the soul like rust on a tin watering can. Longs to touch the callus on the hand of the Mexican man who cuts branches off rose bushes and keeps the red petals in a small sack on his belt. 7:20, great silence ends. Words form on lips like speckled stones dropping into lakes of sound. 8 o'clock, conventual mass. The Virgin Santissima di Guadalupe, in painted squares, a mosaic, stars on her, mirrored by the sea. She is sky, creeping golden vines on her, burnt sienna dress. She is earth. 8:45, Eucharist, Thanksgiving. For the hummingbird who stares questions and twists her neck to show a ruby hiding there. 9 o'clock, breakfast. The egg, essence of life, like purple coneflowers crushed between palms, seeds broadcast on salty wind. 9:30, manual work. Nails blackened half moons. She weeds the roses donated and named. Bing Crosby, peace, sheer bliss, rhapsody. At the bottom of the hill, a beach. Divers suit up like black seals, artists with easels upon sand face the yellow monastery. Noon, sext, hymns in honor of Our Lady, the ever virginal mother. 3 o'clock, prayers for the dying. Tears form an apricot pit in the throat. Are you there? 5 o'clock, prayer. A prayer for the brother who drinks from 2 to 8 p.m. and on the 7th day rests. Brown eyes once clear, now tarnished by thunder that haunts his sleep. 6 o'clock, evening prayer for the mother whose bitterness is uncooked chocolate like the wafer one cannot swallow. 7:30, recreation. Braids hair like a rosary, copper snakes around sandpaper fingers, lingers there. 8:30, matins. Night prayer. Knees creak on a pew of stars, shoots arrows at the moon, climbs to the place where she thinks her sigh escapes God's notice. 9:10, great silence begins. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That was wonderful. Just wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, what an afternoon. I also too, Maria, would like to thank your ensemble.
I know. Thank you, Jonathan. And thank you, River.
Thank you. Oh, and all the rest of the audience. And there was someone I saw doing some video work too. So thank you for.
Muriel, that's Amy's daughter from Malawi. Yeah. So.
Great. Well, look, thank you for bringing this wonderful group to us from Berlin. I love the way you began. You talked of as the rain begins its aria to the new year. And I think in a way your poetry this afternoon was an aria for us to the new year too. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I loved your psychogeographic maps. Could imagine being there with you as you shared with us what you felt. And in fact, I remember the Brandenburg Gate. When I was there, the Berlin Wall cut across in front of it.
Right, yeah.
How different it must be now.
Mhm.
You spoke in your poem with regard to the loss of your dad. The hummingbird of time hovers only for a moment. That's just such a beautiful line. And we had the hummingbird of time on pause here with us this afternoon with your poetry. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, and the gravitational pull of the kite of expectations, which is another line you had, is on us because we are expected to conclude this gathering in a little bit here and go on with the rest of our daily lives. I would like to thank our two poets again for just a wonderful evening or afternoon, evening, night, wherever you may be in the world. It's just a terrific way to get together, and it's a wonderful way to start this new year, this first reading. Take care. Bye, River. Dankeschön. Well, we're going to keep the magic rolling, launched by Barbara and Maria today. Our next reading is on Sunday, February 13th, in anticipation of Valentine's Day. Cynthia Bryant and Heidi McGurran will be our readers. Heidi is here with us. So Heidi, we look forward to seeing you next month. In the meantime, please stay tuned via our Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook. You don't have to do anything to join. Just go to the page and like what we post. And please do check out our YouTube channel. Again, through you can get to it through Google. And we are sponsored, I want to say too, just in wrapping up, in part by Old Capitol Books in Monterey. They're a wonderful independent bookstore that survived the pandemic. They're in a new space. They're in Alvarado. They are wonderful folks. They're good folks. They're part of what helps to keep the magic and the beauty of poetry and literature alive in our world. And so if you're ever in town in Monterey and have the occasion, please go visit them. They are COVID compliant, so you'll have to wear your masks and all of that. But we do want to thank them for being part of our family. So thank you again. It was great to see you all. We haven't had a turnout like this at the beginning of a year in a long time. It's just terrific. And we look forward to seeing you again next month. And in the meantime, take good care, stay safe,
Thank
wear your
you.
masks, do all the right things, and we'll see you. Thank you.
Thank
Mwah.
you.